Hello, everybody, and welcome to Success Never Sleeps, Friday, February 2nd, 2024. I am Marco Mazzola from Focus Martial Arts. Along with me are my co-hosts, Monique Washington-Jones from Karate for Girls and Jason Smith from Believe Martial Arts. Hello, gang.
What's going
Hi.
How's
on?
everybody doing today? My fellow group mentoring partners, your accountability partners coming up. We have our group mentoring program has started. So we're going to be talking all about the group mentoring today. Who's excited? Who's excited? We're going to kind of basically take over what we've done the last 3 weeks, sum it all up, and give you a little bit more of what we're going to be doing within the program and how it's not just going to be like a one and done, 10 months, 1 year thing. It's a continuation of a program that will be continuing on. But first, before we do that, let's see who. Oh, we have Bob Poole in the house as always. Hello, Bob Poole. Good to
What's up,
see you,
Bob?
sir. Can't have a show without Bob Poole. That's how I roll. All right.
Right.
Before we go on to the show, let's just get our sponsors done real quick. We love them. It's Tusa, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids of Lifestyles, and LC Accounting. Excellent companies. I use pretty much all of them. I'm looking on purchasing some Tusa stuff. I love their stuff. And I use Market Muscles. Excellent website. If anybody needs help with their Market Muscles TV, reach out to me. I've been doing a lot of that lately, so it's really fun. My Studio, hooked up with them years ago. I've done a lot of different programs, a lot of different CRM programs. My Studio I've used the longest, and I really stuck with them. I really love what they've done and innovative and the new programs and stuff that they add to it. Kids Love Life Skills, Jason's got it plastered behind him there. We love them. We use them constantly. And LC Accounting, nobody's better than Letitia. Nobody's going to keep you straight like Letitia will keep you straight. All right, I don't know too many accountants will yell at you like Letitia will, and Lord knows I need it. So let's move on. We have coming up. Let's get some things out of the way. We have coming up. First of all, like we're going to be talking today, It's time group mentoring. It's exciting. We're jazzed up, as you can tell. I'm jazzed up about it. I can't wait to get out there and share knowledge with those school owners who, like me, were looking for help, a mentor, somebody to help along the way, and build the brand, build a school, and really put us on a path and a direction. And it's worked amazing for my school, for myself personally. I know Monique and Jason feel the same way, so we'll get into that. So look for us. That's at brandonbeliso.com. Look under programs. You'll see the group mentoring. All right. So do that quickly as soon as you can. We'd love to start getting going with everybody. Upcoming is It's Time Live Canada, May 25th through the 28th. I believe that's in Toronto. So we'll just see. I know there's 20 spots total available. I'm sure there's a bunch already gone. I don't have current stats on that, but I'm sure it's getting sold out quickly. So get yourself on there. Again, brandonbeliso.com. Go to events. You'll see It's Time Live Canada. And of course, coming up in November, we will definitely see everybody out there for It's Time Live Purpose in Millbrae, November 9th through the 12th. We're going to see you there. It's 5 minutes from SFO. It's a great time. 4 days is the way to go. Obviously, there's the 1 day, the 2 day. We hope to see everybody out there for the 4 day. That 20 spots goes quickly. Make sure you're out there for that. It's an amazing, literally, and nobody says this, but it is the truth, life-changing experience. Can't stress that enough. Be there for It's Time Live Purpose. Again, brandonbeliso.com. Go to the events section. You'll see It's Time Live Purpose. All right. Excellent. All right. Let's see. We got some more people joining on. We got Roy from Miami. Hello, Roy. We have Respect Martial Arts from SoCal. Hello, hello, hello.
It's
Let's
Conrad,
see.
right?
It's Conrad. It's Conrad. Great. Rocky Mountains. There is Jeffrey from Resilient. I'm sorry. James
James.
from Resilient Martial Arts. I'm never going to let that die. All right. Excellent. Good to see you. James, if you're on with us, if you want to say hello, tell us where you're from. We're gonna go through a lot of stuff today. I'm gonna kind of go through a lot of the different points, some of the stuff we did talk about already, but also other things we haven't talked about yet that we're gonna be doing on the group mentoring. So if you have questions, also if there's things you want us to cover during the group mentoring, if we talk about some stuff and you don't hear something that you're thinking about that you would like to be covered in the group mentoring program, let us know. Put it in the comments so we can talk about it. All right. So I'm going to shift it off to Monique since she started our program last time. Monique's got some stuff going on at home, so hopefully we get her on for as long as possible before she has to put on a scuba gear and take off. All right, Monique, take it away.
So my talk a couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to jump on and talk about school owners being female conscious and what that looks like. And of course, at Karate for Girls, this kind of comes natural for us, but there's always room for improvement. And I just wanted to kind of share some tips and suggestions that school owners could do to make their school more female conscious, whether that came from staff or just being mindful of the spectators that were there, just making it welcoming to females. And sometimes school owners may drop the ball on that. And what can we do to take our business to the next level? There's small tweaks you can do. And some of that is just making sure that females feel represented on the mat, in staffing, in the waiting area. It doesn't matter, so top down, whatever you want to, plug into that. You can kind of do an audit of your school and say, hey, how do the moms feel? How do the siblings that are waiting for class feel? This younger sister could want to do martial arts. Does she feel like there's other instructors that she can relate to? So, just as a school owner thinking that way. So that was kind of my talk in a nutshell, and tips and suggestions on what you can do. But I would love to kind of throw it out to my brothers Marco and Jason and see what they thought from the talk. I know we kind of debriefed afterwards, but was there any ahas that you all got, or something that maybe you implement, whether it was before I talked or after I talked, that just kind of makes you shift that mindset to be a female conscious school owner?
Jason, I'll turn it over to you first.
Okay. All right. For me, and I know Monique, you and I have talked on this several different times and things like that, but for me, it was just going through and doing that audit, talking to our moms, talking to the current ladies that are training in our program, different things like that. And even to the point of, it's easy as me as a school owner to walk through my school and go, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to update this, that kind of stuff. But having moms give me feedback. I actually even had my wife come through the school, and like, she doesn't train. The extent of what she knows about what we do is based on what, through my experiences and things like that. But I told her, I said, I really just want you to come through as a mom, as a lady, and, tell me what you see, what you feel, what kind of reactions you have. So I had that. And then I went one step further. My daughter, who is 8, I actually had her do the same thing on there. So different levels, things like that. Say, hey, what makes you feel comfortable? It's easy because, she's been raised in the school, so this feels like a second home to her. But again, she's 8, so she's growing up, as much as I hate to admit that. But having her give me feedback too, because we want those girls, we want those young ladies to come in, that we want them to feel safe, we want them to feel welcomed, and we want them to feel like they're a part of our team. So having that feedback from an 8-year-old was huge for me. So that's what I really took back. And I love that, the relationship we have is so great, because I can bounce stuff off of you and things like that as well too. So that was my takeaways from what you talked about.
I love that, Jason, and thanks for sharing that. I think that what we should have prefaced this by saying, this is one of the topics that's going to be in the It's Time Live mentoring, of course. But one of my favorite things about being able to work with Brannon in my business is that it's your version of success, right? So what I think is a female conscious school and what I do may be different with Jason, Marco, and whoever. And I think that that's really important to know, even with this mentoring program, group mentoring, you have a collective of other different school owners. We're doing the same exact things that you do, but you're getting different perspectives. Like, every school owner may do something different. It's your version of success. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this program, if I can be honest, is that you're getting a collective of more than one school owner, and you get to see what, that person does in their school and what works for them. And you can tweak it and add it to your school however you want. But I think that's one of the huge benefits of the It's Time Live group mentoring, that you get this collective. And, we might have one topic, but there might be many ways that you can implement it in your school, and we figure out what's in line and what resonates with you most. So, Marco, did you have anything that stood out, or something that you do when it comes to being a female conscious school owner?
Absolutely. I've been doing this a long time, but I definitely always come at it from my perspective. I'm blessed enough to have my lead instructor is a female. So I'm very lucky to be able to have that and be able to stay and use, have her give me those points of view and listen to her at every chance I get. So always checking in with her to make sure we're doing that and make sure the girls who are with us in the program are getting served appropriately and feel comfortable, and that she's there to help support them. And if there's a way that I can be better at supporting them and meeting them at their level. So we're definitely checking in. In fact, we have an instructor meeting tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, Saturday. And that's one of the topics, including somebody, probably James, talked about the feminine hygiene products, things like that in the bathrooms. So that's something we've already ordered is going to be going into our bathrooms, things like that. Stuff that, of course, I wouldn't have thought of and needed that perspective, So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that we're always checking in. So it was really great to get that point, and then I'm just going to double down on what you said is having different people. This is what I love about this group mentoring. Obviously, Brannon's the lead, and he's going to, we filter everything that we've done through him, but, he's a male, so he hasn't always thought of everything when it comes to every point of view. I know we've all contributed to things, and it's worked both ways for us. I know myself working with Brannon since 2018, he has taught me so much, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to give stuff back to him. Little things. I'm not talking big things here. Little things. You know what I mean? When it comes to like the branding stuff, it's over here, the signage. You know what I mean? For that stuff. That stuff that I created and helped give back to him or to Kids of Life Skills. That Black community board. You know what I mean? Things like that. He asked me, where did you get that? Oh, I'm going to put it in my school.
Yeah, thank you for that. We have one too. So
right. I mean, that just comes of my inherent love of shopping. I grew up with my mother shopping. So going to mall and closing malls every weekend. So, you know what I mean? But that's just, it's just my go-to. Like that's one of my skill sets. So I love to be able to pass that on and help people out. And people who have known me for a while now have known, you need something, first of all, look for Amazon and I'll find it for you. Like I'll be able to, and I'll continue researching until I find the best option, and that's a group thing. It's gonna be awesome.
And I want to, without being on my soapbox, because I'm all things female and it's all about the girl power. I just want to say kudos to both of you guys for being male school owners and being open to different ideas, because I've been training for a really long time, and there's no disrespect, but some people are just in this old school mindset and they don't want to hear it. So I think it's very cool. Just want to shout out to you both of you for just being open to what can I do, and being open to, is there something I could add to my school that's going to make it more accommodating? Because a lot of school owners are still stuck in that old school mindset and they don't want to hear it, So I think that one of the other things we're going to talk about in the It's Time Live mentoring is mindset, and just changing that mindset. We can't think like we did 40 years ago. It's a different, it's a different time. So shout out to both of you guys. And I don't know if anyone's posting in the chat, but feel free if there's anything that you're doing in your school, we'd love to hear it, because we can get ideas from you too, because it is about a collective. So
yeah, 100%.
I think that's one of the coolest things that has been my experience through working with Brannon so much is, and for so long, is I shared it on the show last week, was the community that is built, the relationships that are built. Like there's not maybe a day that goes by that we're not talking to each other and bouncing things off each other, all that. Like, Marco talked about the community billboard there. Yeah, I've got one. We got it hung up. It looks amazing. Yes, it's little things like that. So yeah, I think having those, having that network, and I think it's what's going to be unique about the It's Time mentoring this time around, the group mentoring, is that we're going to have this network and us as accountability partners for everybody in real time. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be huge that's going to be offered this time around.
Yeah, I think that accountability piece, like you said, Jason, is going to be big, because now you have someone that's keeping you accountable for the stuff you say you want to do, but for whatever reason you aren't doing it. You say your why, but and then someone is actually like, okay, how can we get there? Not point the finger, why aren't you doing it? But okay, we want to do it this way. Like, let's figure out a way to do that. And I think that's a really big, really nice addition to the program. That's different than some of the other programs that Brannon's offered, that there is going to be us basically keeping whoever accountable for what they're supposed to be doing. So we will be checking up on you and seeing how we can support you. And if you have a question and we can't answer it, we will go to Brannon and get the answer and get back to you, but it will be real time. And, there's no dumb, questioning, because we've all been there. So if you need help, we can figure it out amongst the team, but we want to keep you accountable, because we want you, success is contagious. So if you're successful, we're successful. So we want you to do well. I think that's really important. So I love the accountability that's also going to be this new added addition to the It's Timeline group mentoring.
Yeah, let's definitely go deeper into that. What we're talking about for accountability, what kind of access do they have? We know we have our weekly meeting. We're going to have a weekly Zoom meeting, right? So let's go over the program a little bit. We have the first week is what exactly?
So the first, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the first, I don't have my notes in front of me. So the first week is basically the experience. So any assignments that you have, any videos that you need to look over, any paperwork, anything you need to read, like that's in the first week. You also will hear from Brannon kind of prefacing what that month's going to entail. And then you have like a couple weeks where you're really going to be getting to know the three of us really well, because we're going to be kind of checking in and saying, how's that going? What do you think about this that you read? Do you need any assistance or support, or can I be a resource? On whatever the experience is at that time. And I think it's like 2 weeks of that. And then towards the end of the month, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Brannon jumps back in and kind of closes everything out and makes, and then the next month we go on to another topic, and every month there's a different topic around taking your business to the next level. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And in between all of that is that access to us in real time. If it needs to be daily, like you have access to us to help as you go through those experiences. So you're not going through them alone. We're keeping you accountable and on task, so you never feel like you may feel overwhelmed at times, because again, product of what Brannon has taught and everything like that. There are times that it feels very overwhelming, and you just need somebody to talk to. Again, I go back to whenever I went through Wisdom, Monique, you and I did it together, and before we ever joined, it was like, hey, we need to be accountable to each other too. We need that second step, and that's what we're going to be here for.
And it was hard. It was hard.
And they'll be able to contact us through Slack.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they'll always have access to us in there. So, and again, like Monique alluded to it before, is we're going to give you our perspective on it, and if it's something we don't know, we're going to turn right around and tell you, hey, we don't know that. We're going to go ask Brannon and get you the best answer. You know? Or even if we do give you our perspective, we may go, hey, you know what? We need his perspective on this too. So you have a couple of different options on there as well. So
just want to throw it out.
Who that is?
Okay. We'll just take it as the internet.
The internet. Is that approval?
I wanted to shout out to Maximum Martial Arts. We always had female instructors, and because of that, we have close to 50%, currently 47.4% female population at our schools for over a decade now. Let's give them a little hand, please.
That is awesome.
Excellent.
That is awesome.
Love to hear that.
It does make a difference. Kudos to you for doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in an old quote unquote old school martial arts school, but my head instructor's wife was one of my instructors, so she was. He did the main class. She taught all like the kids and stuff like that. And I started when I was 8. So she was my main instructor as well for most of the time, until I graduated to like the teen / adult classes. She was my instructor for a very long time. And I benefited greatly from having her wisdom and be my head instructor for a very long time. So, I definitely, like I said, I think the last 3 lead instructors I've had at my school have all been female. You know what I mean? So it's important to me that we're all represented and everybody feels welcome and comfortable and accepted in our school, and that everybody has a place to be, and it's not just a male, macho thing coming in. And so, I mean, I don't know that we're close to 50%, but we're close in terms of population, and it feels good.
Even if it's like moving that needle a little bit, you know what I mean? It doesn't.
Right.
I think 50%, 47% from the what was the name of the school? I didn't see the.
From Maximum.
Maximum. I think that's amazing. That's not normal, by the way, but I think I think that's amazing, and hopefully most schools can, adapt to that mindset. But even if it's a little bit, like, okay, if it's, moving the needle a little bit, that makes a difference. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that helps too in a long way. Sorry. I think it helps. Go ahead. I'll just mute myself. Don't worry about it. I'm going to mute myself. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I even had an instructor, that always said he talked about it with our training and our techniques and stuff like that, but it goes in everything that we do. Inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard.
Yeah.
So if we all can help move it an inch, then we're moving in the right direction. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm glad I muted myself for that. So, so I was going to say too, like, we get into that stumbling block sometime with some parents, usually fathers. They'll have a son and a daughter. And I want my son to take martial arts, and the girl's standing there, as you can definitely tell, she wants to do it, and like, no, she can't do that. It's not for girls. And like, a great portion of my students are girls, and 2 of my instructors are female. Like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Like, so that helps us to break through that barrier with some people of like, no, I can't. Like, and then so that opens that conversation for us with the fathers who are just like, no, it's not for girls. Like, it really is. It really is.
Huge. Mindset is so huge, and I think that's why it's important that it is one of the experiences in the group mentoring, because how you think, is everything on how your business is ran. I think we get so caught up in the numbers and that we forget, like, if your mind's not right, like, we got to start there. You got to do the work. And I think that that's one thing. I know that's one of the experiences that's included in the group mentoring, but I think that there's a disconnect with, sometimes we feel like that isn't going to move the needle. And I'm like, well, where do you think it's going to start? That's where it starts. So, yeah. I think we covered everything on the format of the program itself, with the exception of the weekly Facebook lives.
Right.
We're going to do that too. So that's another thing. The 3 of us will jump on in the Facebook Live group for the people that are in the program, just to kind of like tell you what we did during that experience, or see if you have any questions. Or again, we want to support you. We want you to be successful. So we're going to be there and be accessible. And that was one of my favorite things about working with Brannon. It's just having him accessible. Like, whenever I had a question or I was stuck, having that. And now you have like a whole team that's gone through, we've done the work. So I love that component to the program too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll definitely try to be conscious of time zones.
Oh, yeah.
Not always. You very often we get a text at 1 a.m. What did you do well today? Tell me one thing you could do better. 1 a.m.
So that's my topic. So now one of you guys go and chat about your topic.
Oh, Jason, since you went second.
Did I go second? I
thought I went second. Wait a minute, I went second. That's right.
Yeah.
I went second. Well, let's see what Facebook users are saying. The internet is saying, I had a woman mom say she wouldn't take kickboxing from only a man because she doesn't think a woman could teach her. Any thoughts? Oh, Monique, definitely throwing this over to you. Oh.
I would respectfully say, what women do you know? It's a mindset. I would be like, I apologize you feel that way, but I'm certain that we have female instructors that are just as good, if not better, than male instructors. So again, it's mindset, and just prove with action that female instructors are just as good. And if that were me, now I only train females, so I don't have that. I wouldn't be asked that question, but from a school owner, for me, it would be a challenge to me to make sure that my instructors are all good. So I would be like, ooh, does that mean my female instructors are not as strong or as well trained? Or, I would take that as a challenge as a school owners. Someone just said female instructors are just as impactful. Amen. But for someone that doesn't believe that, in that it's a mind shift, right? I would use that as a challenge as a school owner to say, okay, let me make sure that I level up the training of my staff so no one questions that. That would be something that I would take on and make sure that my male instructors, along with my female instructors, were just as effective, just as strong. And I would take the responsibility of that to help change that mindset. Would be the
because it is an interesting mindset, and I would say obviously we're going to definitely put it out there. It's narrow-minded, because if you're trying to take kickboxing, what's your reason to taking it? And if you want to get yourself to a level, so you're saying if an instructor is not good at being at that level, how do you think you can be that good at being at that level? If you're a female, then you're saying you can't be that good if you think the female instructor can't be good.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself down by putting her down. That makes no sense.
Yeah, and I have a team, and I'm very confident in my team that I would put my female instructors up against any male instructor, not in a boastful way, but because I've put in the work to make sure that they're trained that way and they're good. My job is to make sure they're better than me, and they are better than me. So that's the point. So I would not question that any of my female instructors could not stand toe to toe with a male instructor as far as talent, skill set, technique. I feel like it would be up to the person training them to make sure they were just as good. So, and that's all I'll say about that.
I mean, the way that's worded, to me, it sounds like they haven't even given them a shot to try out a class yet. So, you know, that maybe a preconceived thought pattern there. And again, it goes right back to mindset.
Yeah,
it's all about the mindset, and if we can, you know, help change that mindset of like that, you know, again, we're moving that needle an inch.
Yeah.
I mean, in a nice way, you obviously challenge them to take a free class and make your decision after that. You know what I mean? I'll offer you a free class, take your free class with the female instructor, make your opinion after that, see how she does, see what you think.
Right.
You know what I mean? See if she can move that needle, see if she can change your mind. I bet she will.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
If the instructor, you know, but again, it goes
You've done the work, yeah. You've done the work to train her, then she's gonna change their mind.
You got to have a solid team. Yeah. It goes back to that team and curriculum, which we are also going to be talking about in the mentoring program, making sure
we'll get there.
Yeah. It all ties into each other if
it
you
really does
figure that out.
Well, it's all recipe, right? It's all the recipe.
Yeah.
It's the eggs, it's the flour, you know, it's everything. It's the butter. Like, you know, you have to have it all. You leave any of it out, the cake's not gonna, you know, rise. It's not gonna be a good cake. So I went over branding and marketing, which can a lot of times tie together. Rebranding, or just branding your current brand better. You know, if you're tweaking your current brand, or if you want to rebrand it altogether, you know, there's things to be said for, you know, it's a lesson I learned a long time ago, and this isn't putting it out there for anybody or meant to insult anybody, but one of the things I learned for myself was try not to name your school after you. I found that to be a hard thing to learn, because I came up in a school who was named after the main instructor, and he's looking to retire soon. What happens to the school when he's gone? And his kids don't want to run it. They're doing their own thing. So what happens when he's gone? You know, what happens if I named it Marco's Karate or Mazzola's Martial Arts? What happens when I'm not doing it anymore and my son doesn't want to do it, let's say? What happens to the school? So did you build a brand that outlives you? And that was taught to me a long time ago, even before I met Brandon, which is why the first name of my school, which was bad, which is why I'm glad I rebranded it to something, you know, that made much more sense. It just made sense not to name it after myself. And I know a lot of people have that, and I think if that works for you, if that's your version of success, then do it. So if that is something you want to stay with, then let's build that brand as you have it and make it strong, make it better. If it's not working, and this is what we were talking about earlier, sort of letting go of that old school thinking. If that brand's not working, then it might be time to change it. You know, if Mazzola's Karate's not working, then it might be time to change it, right? Because a lot of times, and I know Brandon talks about this all the time, a parent driving by, and you know, you go down the street, you could look at 3 different martial arts schools, and if you look at Mazzola's Karate or Believe Martial Arts or, you know, Inspire Martial Arts, Mazzola's, which I don't know what Mazzola's Martial Arts is going to teach my kid, but I can tell what Believe Martial Arts will be. I can definitely tell what Inspire Martial Arts, or okay, I'll say Focus Martial Arts, you know, Karate for girls. Come on. Like, that's a no-brainer. I could definitely tell what the main motivation is for this school. It's pretty obvious. You know, we're talking about separating yourself from the competition, from the other karate schools down the street. And that first look, that name, is the first thing that's going to separate you. How do you get them through your door? Right? It's not the fancy logo, it's the name that's attached to the door. You know, then you're going to build a reputation based on that. You're going to build your community, you got to build your brand, you got to build a culture within your school. But you got to start somewhere, and usually it's the name, right? I think that's one of the things we're going to work on is, where's the brand you have? Is it strong? Do we build it from what you have, or do we need to rebrand it? Because we need to build something stronger. I went through that exercise. It was tough for me, even when I started as Peaceful Warriors. And I know there are other schools that use that name, and if they're thriving with it, great. I think that's awesome. I was not. And I realized I was not. And I realized why I was not. Because in our location, in our area, it meant nothing to anybody. It didn't mean anything to anybody. Peace Warriors was an oxymoron, and nobody understood what it meant. Nobody understood what we were teaching their kids. Are we teaching them to be peaceful? Or are we teaching them to be a warrior? And my kid's 4. I don't really need them to be a warrior. They're not out there knocking heads in the sandbox. Like, I just need them to be better focused and pay better attention and have more confidence and self-esteem so they don't get bullied at school. Things like that. Or they can just learn to get better grades or they pay more attention at home. So it made sense for us to rebrand to something that meant more to the parents, not necessarily something that meant more to me, although focus means something more to me now, because I say it 100 times a day. Focus on what you're doing. Pay attention, focus, right? And that was the impetus behind that. But Peaceful Warriors didn't mean anything. So the logo didn't mean anything. It was a fun little art project that I did that was barely a 90s version of a logo that I had to get rid of. And that was hard. That was hard for me because it was my baby. And I loved it. I loved it. I designed it myself. I came up with the brand name myself. I worked really hard on it. I put on everything, but that's how I roll. Right. And then I had to trash it all. I had to dump it all. I had to dump all the T-shirts. I mean, we gave them to Goodwill, so we can just throw them in the trash. At least somebody's out there rocking them, And then we dumped it. We put a lot of money into rebranding. Like we gave everybody brand new uniforms and duffel bags. So we broke through the barrier. People going, "Well, I just bought a uniform. I don't want to buy another one. I'll just wear this one until it's gone, until it doesn't work anymore." So half the school would be focused, and the other half would be Peace Warriors. We had to dump that and say, okay, we had to bite the bullet and say, all right, everybody's getting a new uniform. I'm going to take it on the chin and just give everybody that way. There's no barrier. That was tough. That was hard, but it was a long project and it was well worth it. So I'm excited to help other people through it. I really am. I think it's a great project. Now, Monique, you were Karate for Girls like all the time, right?
Yeah, we didn't change. Another thing that I like about the process is that you have to define your version of success. So there was like this, I love Brannon, but were some days I didn't like him because we were fighting about certain stuff. But
logo. I remember the logo fights. We were all on the sideline watching this logo fight.
The whole thing. But I was able to fight for it. And I think he respected that. He understood why that resonated with me and why I wasn't bending. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, if it makes sense and you can speak up and stand up for what your brand is, then it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to all agree, and that's okay. But it needs to make sense. And I think that that's really important. And that's why I like the work, he would suggest something and I'd be like, no. And he'd be like, well, why? And I'd be like, well, this is why. And he'd be like, well, okay, let's move on. And that was fine. Like, it was. So I think that as long as you understand your why and understand your brand, and we did tweak some stuff and like the font and how stuff looks on apparel, just so it could be more appealing. But I think that I still had to do the work to make sure that I understood the brand and I knew the why and I knew how that was going to resonate to the families and females that we serve. So I think that once I did the work and could articulate that, all was good, So I think that that's really important, that you don't just have a name just to have a name, or have a brand or colors just because everyone else says whatever. Like, being able to stand true to that brand is important. And why? Like, not just because of me. It's not about me, because I'm serving families, right? So what does that have to do with the females that we serve? And okay, now I get it. So I think that it was more of that, me being able to articulate that, expressing how my why could serve other females. Then it was all good, but I still had to do the work to make it make sense.
Yeah. And I think that's important, because it's, as we go through the mentoring program with people, if you have something that you're not, I'm not gonna say stuck on, something that you truly believe in, it can't just because I want it that way, or I really like it. That's not going to fly. You're going to have to come up with something better. And you did. You came up with a lot of reasons better as to why Karate for Girls has to stay. It has to stay. And it did. And I agree with you. And I think it was the right. I personally think, for whatever it means, I think that was the right decision too. You know what I mean? It was that was your why. That was your purpose. That's your purpose. That was great. I'm glad you fought for that.
Yeah.
He can be tough. He can be real tough.
Yes.
Things. When he believes in something, he's going to be tough on it. But I like the fact that you were able to get through to him, like, this is my purpose. This is my why. You know, and tweaking the logos, I tweaked my Focus logo a couple of times already.
Yeah. And even in me fighting back, it was me figuring out the why. You know what I mean? Like, it was even, I had to articulate it. So I'm still doing the work, even though I thought, you know, we were disagreeing. We weren't disagreeing. It was making me understand my why even more. So
almost like he knew he was doing that.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Jason, what about you?
You know, we kind of did the same thing you did, Marco. Like, we had a different brand, and we didn't know our why or our purpose, anything like that. And we went through that whole process of rebranding, redoing the logo. You know, and you know, branding isn't just about the logo. I mean, like, here's our brand that's on the, you know, behind me here. But, and Marco, you actually helped design that for us as we went through that process and all. And, you know, at the time I knew, and this is where the really cool work happened. So we done this a couple of years ago. I want to say about 5-6 years now, something like that, give or take. Doesn't feel like it's been that long, but I guess it really has.
Prior to the pandemic, so yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, it just doesn't feel like it's been that long. Yeah,
I know.
So
we lost a few years in the pandemic there.
That's right. That's right. But, you know, I like, even to the point of explaining our purpose and our culture, and then why the BE is red and the rest of it is black, or it's red and the rest of it's white, or whatever it is. And because we wanted that B to stand out, it was part of our purpose. You wanted action to be behind that belief, and all that. So that's the reason why we did that. And now everything we do is rooted in our culture and our brand. You know, from the way we greet people whenever they walk in the door, to whenever we're telling them bye whenever they leave, whenever we're, you know, encouraging them to do their push-ups at 100%, and all this other, you know, it's just rooted in everything we do. The way we communicate, you know, the events we offer, all of that, you know, even down to, it's a black bulletin board that we use for our community because our colors are red, black, and white. Like, even down to that, it's that crucial for us in there. So I mean, like, that's kind of been our experience with it. And you know, we've had people walk in and they go, "Is this a franchise?" You know, and they're like, "Nope, no, we're not a franchise. We're a single small school." You know,
I always hit them with that, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. You know, one day, hey, is there going to be a second Believe location? Yeah, we have that in our plans, but, you know, that time will come as we get everything tight and right here, and grow our team, and develop that culture and everything like that, you know. So, but we have a foundation now, and that's what that branding work with Brannon did for us. It gave us that foundation, that platform, to stand out above everything else. I'm not just talking about other martial arts schools, everything else, you know. So that's kind of been my takeaways with talking with branding with you, is because, like I said, we talk all the time, you know, and even going through those experiences with Brannon.
Yeah, I mean, it's constant work, right? He talks about that all the time. It's a constant development. Like, we you know, we have our brand. I love my brand, and I'm constantly defining and moving it forward. You know, and the things that we do, our day-to-days, our overall purpose. You know, all the way down to the cotton candy that we do. You know me, I'm the 22 flavor cotton candy guy, and we were just having that discussion with the team. Like, do we continue doing it? You know, is it effective? Should we drop it down to just the 2? You know, even for birthday parties, you know what I mean? Are we, you know, not just cost wise, but are we, you know, making this something that we can replicate all the time? You know, as we talk about that all the time, like, you know, I love teaching, I love being here. I have a son, I want to spend more time with him. So I don't want to be at every single birthday party or every event. You know, I want to have some time with my son. So, you know, yes, I can run the 22 flavors of cotton candy like that. Should I make my team do it, or do we make it? Is it easier to drop it down for them to just have, red and blue. It's still impactful for the kids that come. They love it. It's easier for the team to execute at a high level, and they can move forward. You know what I mean? And have a great event.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's things like that.
100%.
Like we're constantly having those discussions, and that's things we'll be talking about during the group mentoring. You know what I mean? Is pushing these needles forward, and that's why the group mentoring is not just, okay, we discussed branding this month and you're never going to see it again. No, it's going to keep coming back up. That's something else I wanted to talk about. When we, like, the first month is mindset, right? And then we move on to other topics. Monique has a list, but Monique had to step away for a personal reason. So we'll go through the list at some point.
I got you.
All the different experiences. So what is this? Oh, I'm back. Had to get my hair cut. Did a hot chocolate bar at the elementary school Wednesday. Hot chocolate bar.
I'm assuming that's probably James. Maybe.
Is that James? Oh yeah. That was
maybe.
James. That's right.
That sounds like I believe
that was James. He said he was talking about the hot chocolate bar, which sounds delicious, by the way. I could go for I might have to get hot chocolate after this. Thank you, James. So, Monique, can you give us the list? What we had? Do you have the monthly, like, what we've set up so far?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. So
what did I miss?
I was saying,
did I miss anything?
No, I was just ragging on Jason. So we're just so we were just talking about the fact that, like, when we talk about topics, it's not a one and done. If we talk about branding, it will come back again.
Yeah.
We'll revisit topics because they need to be. They need to be checked in on. They need to be updated. Jason's going to talk about curriculum. Again, that's not a one and done. Jerry's back. Good. Hey, Jerry. So I like that fact that he's embraced it. So that's always important. But like we tweak our curriculum every year. You know what I mean? Look at it, tighten it up. What's good? What needs to be moved? What needs to be tightened up? Does a certain technique need more numbers, less numbers, whatever? How do we teach that technique more effectively? What better drills can we use for that technique? Whatever. So we'll check in. We'll check in with you from time to time on your curriculum. How's it going? Is it effective? Have you done any work to it? Stuff like that. So I think that's a little different. I don't know that much. I've done different programs. I know, Jason, I know you've done other programs. I don't think many really do that. It's kind of like, here's the box set of what you're going to get, and when you're done, we're done.
Yeah, and I have the list, but I want to say that this list is still evolving because
it's fluid. It's fluid.
Like the other cool thing
we're
about
adding new stuff all the time.
Brandon's like, what do you guys think about this? Would this be like, as school owners, because we're school owners too, like which ones should we definitely talk about? Which ones, like, the female conscious school owner is new. That's a new topic. But of course, like mindset and values, I'm reading off of the list, which again is ever evolving, and we're going to be adding different experiences often. Branding, leadership, tribe, cultural systems, team, community events and calendar, social media. I think that's the most of the ones that I have. But again, I know this list is ever changing because we come back and like, oh, we need to talk about the calendar now because we're going into summer camp season, or you know what I mean. So that changes. So.
Yeah, we're extending it all the time, which is nice. I like that because it's not stuck. It's not stuck into a certain pattern of like it was, and then things, which also allows things not to get outdated. Mm-hmm. Everything can be constantly up to date because we're constantly making it better and changing it. And we're not talking about stuff that was relevant 6 years ago. What is relevant today? And that's where we want feedback from people who are in the program or people who are thinking about doing the program. What is relevant for you today? What is it that you need to work on? What are some holes in your game that you want to go over today? So we'll go through it, and we'll make it part of the program.
And that everyone is at different, at a different pace. Like, I'm not the most technical person, so it might take me longer to do like a setup. If you were doing like a market muscle TV, like someone may need additional help with that part, or if someone's redoing their curriculum. So that is also factored in that some business owners or some school owners will move through material faster than others, and some may need a little more hand-holding if they, and that's fine. But that's also incorporated in the program.
I mean, if you pay for my flight and hotel and a meal stipend, I'll come out and do it.
You'll come do it?
Come out, wherever you are.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
Jason,
mean,
you
like,
did curriculum. You did
yeah,
curriculum.
yeah, I did curriculum. So we talked about in curriculum, like, one of the biggest things was is that it's easy whenever you hear curriculum, the first thing you go to is what system you're teaching, what blocks, kicks, punches, all that kind of stuff, right? That's the number one thing everybody talks about. And it's important, but it's only a part of our curriculum. It's not the entire curriculum on there. We want to focus in on developing, a unified curriculum along with our system that we teach, with the life skills that we incorporate in, and infusing our culture and purpose through that. So that was a lot of what I talked about on the show last week, was being able to infuse that in, and not only what we teach to our students, but how do we train our team to deliver it just as much on there as well. So, how are we empowering our team? Monique, you said it earlier. I want my team to teach better than me. Absolutely, I do. You know, I'm at a place right now where I've got 3 kids, 8, 6, and 4. You hear Brandon say it all the time, and it really, hits me deep whenever I think about going, I can't look at my daughter and say, I have time, go back and be 8 now. So I need to empower my team so I can appreciate this time with her, and see my boys grow up, and be there for them just as much as I want to be in the school. But I know that my team is delivering it at such a high level because we've trained on our entire curriculum, not just the system of it, but our entire curriculum. They can talk about life skill, the life skill that we're focused on throughout the entire class. They can deliver, you know, a highlight or a spotlight or inspire one of our students through our purpose and our culture directly in class, because we know that they can be successful whenever they're giving 100% on their push-ups, even though they are, dog tired at that point. But we can see them still being successful because they got one more rep in. So being able to infuse that into our overall curriculum is super important on there. So I'm not sure, like, what, maybe some things that you guys do that's a little bit different than what we do here. Um, you know, uh, what's some things that I know Monique's had to step away again, but what's what's some things that you guys do at your schools to infuse that into your curriculum?
For the curriculum, like in just implementing the curriculum, was that the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just, how do you fuse your purpose and your culture, and even the life skills component into the system that you teach, so that we're not, because you can drive down the road and anybody can teach you a block, a kick, and a punch.
Right.
But what sets our curriculum different, just like our branding.
Mm-hmm.
So what's some of those things that y'all do at your school that sets your curriculum apart?
So I think it goes back to mindset. I know I keep saying that, but I think it's huge. We were using a really old curriculum. Like, this was what I used way back when I was trained, and it had never changed. And so this was like, probably over 50 curriculum. And even though Brandon and I don't do the same martial arts style, we were able to like go back through it and just make it relevant to my brand. And I think that was huge because I was using, the curriculum when I was a kid, when my father taught me and my sister, which is not on brand with what I'm doing now. So I think it just goes back to being open-minded to revisit it. And we kind of combed through the curriculum and just made sure that it was empowering and strong. And I mean, because those are the things we use with the females that we train, and making sure that it made sense that it was appropriate to certain belt levels, like a 4-year-old wasn't doing a weapon kata or whatever. So we were making sure that we were it was on brand, but also being open to mixing it up, like without like it didn't mess with the integrity of the style, but we were still able to incorporate our brand. So I think just being open with, lay out your curriculum. Let's see how it looks. Let's see if it's relevant to 2024 and not, the 70s and 60s, which mine was, and let's make it relevant. And that's kind of what we did. And we just kind of combed through how we did the stripes, how we did the belts. I'm dealing with a lot of girls, so they like to see their progress. They want to see I didn't learn it that way. You train until you got your next belt, whenever you got your next belt. But now you have these stripes that you can see your progress as you get closer to your belt. Is huge when you're training young girls. So that was on brand with us, and we were open to doing that with the curriculum. So I think just mindset, I mean, it's huge, just making sure that your curriculum does match your brand and being open to, it doesn't have to be a 50-year-old curriculum, but it can still have the same content. So
yeah, 100%. You know, and that's one of the biggest things is being able to be open-minded enough to know that I don't have to abandon the art I learned, but I can innovate it to what I'm teaching and who I'm teaching now, and I can still respect the integrity of it. I don't have to abandon it completely. You know, yeah. So Marco, what's some of the stuff that you guys do at Focus?
Very much along the line with Monique said. Obviously I don't teach the same Kempo version that you teach and Brandon teaches. I turned it's American karate, so Shotokan and Kempo, but the Kempo is a very different style of Kempo. The Kempo I learned from my first instructor, again, and I know I talked about this before, it was the old style of we teach what we want to teach when we want to teach it. And even by the time I started going through, there was a quote unquote curriculum, and white belts learn this, and orange belts learn this, and purple belts learn this, but it was never really thought through of like an age level, skill level, because when I started to come through, we were some of the first classes of kids. Mostly it was teens or young adults, you know what I mean, who were doing it. So there was a few kids in the room, and then I started doing it. There was more and more kids, but it never changed. So I'm 8 years old learning a knife defense technique. Never made any sense. So having to sort of break through that mindset of like, oh, this is maybe not okay, and maybe this will work. I'm still going to teach these knife defenses, but when you're older and more capable and have better skill set, we'll keep them in there, because I'm not going to abandon parts of the art. I might change a little bit, or things change all the time, and I think people do get stuck in that way. If this is the way it was done for hundreds of years, okay, that was before they had different weapons and different, you know what I'm saying? The different situations different, terrain's different, where you're fighting is different, everything is different. So let's move forward with the times. And that's really hard for some people. You can still keep your history, you can keep your tradition, but you got to move forward. That was hard for me. And I talked about this before my first It's Time, hearing about rotating curriculum. My wife looked at me like, oh no, he's not going to go for this. And I look right at her and go, we have to do this. She almost fell off her chair. I'm just going to do this. The stickler is going to do this. All right, fine, let's go for it. So now having, like I said, tweaked it, and we were doing the 6 stripes, every 3 months, and the 4th month is review. And then it was 4 techniques, and then 2 techniques were a kata. Now we've switched that to 3 techniques and 3 stripes for a kata, which has made the kids stronger at what they do. They still get all the materials, just shuffled around. Some stuff was way too difficult, and we've put it into black belt and fleshed out all the way through 5th degree to a better, more dynamic set. But what they get at to get to black belt, they look so much stronger. They know the material so much better. They're you know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying they know it better than I did, or I know it better than they did. When I got to my black belt, it's different. I trained 4 to 5 days a week. Because that's all I did. I went to school and I went to the dojo. That doesn't happen nowadays 99% of the time. Kids, I got a once a week program or a twice a week program. You know what I mean? And they're probably pretty equal as to what's signed up. I forget exactly what the percentage is, but there's a lot of people do it once a week because that's all they can do. Because then they shuffled off to soccer or instrument or whatever. You know what I mean? So It's different. You can't expect them to be the way we did it back in the 80s and 90s. It's just the playing field is different. You want to have a thriving school, you want to have a successful school, but you want to have successful quality martial artists like you were, like we were, right? You just got to go at it differently. You can still get the results, but you have to do it differently. You know what I mean? You have to attack it a different way. That's all. And this is we have different ways of attacking it. And if your mind's open to learning it, we can teach it to you. But you have to be open to it, and coming from somebody whose mind wasn't very open, because I was in that program of like that, this is the way it's done. You know, it was amazing to have that, like, just that world opened up. I'm like, oh my God, there is definitely a different way. I'm not gonna say better. It's a different way to do it, and it's just serving my school and my students better. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and whenever our team is able to step out there and anybody teach it, the same way to as many different students as we have, and connect with all of them and all, it's going to go so much further. They're going to learn it so much faster. They're going to be so much better at it. And you hit the nail on the head on that. Is nowadays kids don't train the way we did. I mean, I was with you like 5-6 days a week. I'm training, whether it was at the school or at home, but like that was my thing. It was my passion. I got all three of my kids in our program here, and they're the instructor's kids. They're not training like that. They're not training like that. My daughter does. Yeah, So I mean, we do have to be accommodating. Families are busier nowadays, and that's okay. That's okay. We just need to adapt so that we can still impact their success in that, and all. And that's one of the ways that we're going to do it. In the It's Time group mentoring is take a look at that curriculum and go, hey, is it too hard here? Is it, is there too much material there? How can we shift this around and really make it successful for your students and your team?
Again, without abandoning
without
any
changing
part of your art, without changing it. No, keep it. Let's find it. And if this is something that's right for this level, okay, how do we find a way to teach it in a more effective way to a larger group of people? Because at the end of the day, that's also what we're talking about. If you're a school that has 50 students or whatever, and you're trying to get to 100, 150, 200 or whatever, you have to think about the fact that your class sizes are going to start to grow. It's different teaching 5 kids than it is to teaching 30 kids in the class. Even if let's say you have multiple instructors, it's still different. We went through that system. I went through that system of like, okay, depending on when you started, you got a different technique. So it was a class of, let's say, 20 kids. Everybody was getting something different. Maybe 2 or 3 people were getting the same thing. You got 30 seconds to a minute of the instructor's time, and they had to go on to the next person to teach them their technique, basic kata or whatever. Right? That's really tough. Nowadays, you want to give a kid a minute, 2 minutes, maybe to teach them technique, and then okay, go practice. That's really tough, and that's really tough for parents to swallow. Right? You're with my kid for 2 minutes, and then they're on their own over there practicing. I'm paying how much for this? You know what I mean? It can be tough. It can be tough for parents as well. That we do a system like you guys do. Everybody's learning the exact same technique because it's on a rotating, and so you're with the class. Everybody's with the instructors working the same technique for for the whole class, for 30 minutes, and then you do your basics, your warm-ups, your whatever, your game time. But everybody in the class is working the exact same thing. So you can all be doing the same drills. You can all be working on the same technique. You can all be supporting and cheering each other on. And when you talk about what needs to adapt that technique to make it work, the whole class is getting the speech at the exact same time. You also don't have to repeat that speech 40 times. The entire class got that speech at the same time. It's amazing.
It's working. It's called working smart. Working smart.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that and all these topics that we're talking about with It's Time is with the group mentoring and all is again what's going to be so unique about this and is that you're going to have us as accountability partners to help you through that, because curriculum it's a beast. It's something that is time consuming, and you got to put a lot of thought into, just like with your branding, just like with your community calendar, being a female centric school, all of these topics, it's going to take time, and it's going to be an investment of time in that too. And, we want to invest into that with you. So having us there alongside in real time, helping you along the way is going to be crucial in that. Not because we know all the answers, but it's just we're the small school owners, and we're growing and learning just as much. And again, if it's not, if we don't have the answer, we're going to tell you we don't know that, and we're going to forward that up to Brannon. That was my alarm. Sorry.
I was like, who is
time for medication? Sorry. Time to take my meds.
The show's over.
Time for my next healing.
Jason has a heart out. Jesus. Just goes dark. All right, well, there it is.
But yeah, I mean, again, though, it really is that uniqueness that in real time with us as a collective, we're going to be that community to lean in on, to fall back on, to bounce stuff off of. And I think that's going to be, I know for me personally, whenever I went through Wisdom and did that with Brannon, that was a game changer for me. Those daily conversations, to make sure that I was moving the needle an inch at a time as we went through that. And still working on a lot of that stuff. But again, constantly having that communication and that talk with somebody, with Brannon, with Monique, with Marco, bouncing stuff off of everybody is crucial. And it will help you.
I think it's huge to know that you're not by yourself doing it. I think that's, if you try to figure it out by yourself, you will take, you'll probably make more mistakes. Not that, mistakes are not a bad thing, but you will make more mistakes. You'll take longer time versus having a collective, having a team that you can say, Jason's on speed dial. Like, I'm like, how do I do this? And we all do different styles, like all different, so it's not even that you have to have the same martial arts style. Like we're in different parts of the country. Like we're all over. So our demographic is different. Our style, our curriculum is different, but we're still trying to run successful or are running successful schools.
Business is business. Building a culture is building a culture.
Yeah. So we need, if you need to talk shop, you're like, okay, I need help on this. Like I think it's a gift to be able to bounce stuff off of you guys or text Brannon if I get stuck, and then I'm not just sitting in it. I think that's huge to know that you're not by yourself trying to figure it out. So.
Yes, 100%. All right. And there's our show for the day, gang. Hopefully you guys learned something. I want to thank everybody for being on who chatted with us. Jerry, of course, everybody else who was on and let us know your thoughts. All the Facebook users. Again, gang, we'd love you to go to brannonbeliso.com. Look under the, I believe it's the services section. Thank you. Services to find the group mentoring, and check that out. Get more information on there as well. We have It's Time Live Canada coming up under the events tab. Again, May 25th through the 28th. And hopefully you see everybody out there for It's Time Live Purpose in November in the Millbury from the 9th to the 12th. Yes, I know we're all going to be out there for that one. So I'm excited for that. Let's thank our sponsors one more time. TUSA, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids of Lifestyles, and of course, LC Accounting. I want to thank my co-hosts. Love you guys, both of you. Monique and Jason. We're going to be attached to the hip. It's going to be an amazing program. I'm excited. I can't be more jazzed.
We already were attached to the hip.
I know, it feels like it.
Even more so. Even more so. Conrad, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Hi, Conrad.
And if anybody has any questions about It's Time Group Mentoring, feel free to message us. Reach out, contact us. We'll be glad to talk to you about it. And like you said, we're super excited about the program.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. So, all right, let's get out of here, gang. What are we gonna go do?
Live our best life.
Live your best life.
Live your best life, everybody. Thank you.